My dad woke me up like the military had authorized him personally, not gentle, not normal, not even slightly human, just get up. I rolled deeper into the blanket. I'm dead. No, you're late. I'm not late if I don't go. Dad grabbed the blanket and ripped half of it off me. Driver's test. That made one eye open, then the other, then unfortunately, all of reality came back at once. Right. Saturday. My test. Again. Attempt number 5. I stared at the ceiling like maybe if I stayed perfectly still, life would forget I existed. Dad crossed his arms. You passed today. We go look at cars after. I sat up so fast I almost headbutted him. Cars? Yes, cars. Unless you like riding the bus forever. And just like that, my brain betrayed me. A car. Me driving. Lake Superior. Duluth. Jane in the passenger seat. Smiling. Wind off the lake. Music playing. Then my imagination immediately got out of control. Marriage. Kids. Family photos. A dog. A mortgage. I went from driver's license to retirement plan in about 3 seconds. Dad just stood there watching me have a complete mental collapse. What? Nothing. You look stupid. I know. That got me moving, fast. A few minutes later, I was in the kitchen trying not to panic. Dad drank coffee like this was a completely normal morning, like I wasn't about to embarrass myself in front of another DMV employee. You nervous? No. Dad gave me one look. That means yes. I shoved food into my mouth to avoid answering. Dad leaned against the counter. Listen. That tone always meant he was about to say something annoyingly smart. When you get in the car, study the instructor. I looked up. Study them? Yes. For what? What kind of person they are? That sounds manipulative. That's because it is. I stared at him. Dad pointed with his coffee mug. You don't just drive the car, you drive the person next to you. I don't think the DMV wants you saying that. They don't have to hear me. I couldn't even argue. He wasn't wrong. Dad continued. Some instructors want confidence. Some want quiet. Some want you extra careful. Figure them out. I nodded slowly. That was actually pretty good advice. Then Dad squinted at me. And stop looking guilty all the time. What? Even when you're doing nothing wrong, you look like you just hit a mailbox. I do not. Dad said absolutely nothing, just stared at me, which somehow felt worse. The drive to the DMV was torture, not because of traffic, because I had too much time to think about Lily, about ghosts, about cursed letters, about the fact that I had technically cried in front of both living and dead people this week. Then my phone buzzed. Bon. Of course. The first text said, "You're future pedestrian." I immediately knew things were about to get worse. The second text appeared. If you fail again, just let Metro Transit adopt you, then another. Pass or I'm telling everybody you cried parallel parking. I texted back, I hate you. The response came instantly, bet. I shoved my phone back into my pocket. Dad glanced over. Bon? Yes. He making it worse? Yes. Dad nodded, like that was exactly what he expected. At a red light, I reached into my pocket. Risa's charm. Small, simple, nothing special. And somehow it made me feel better, like somebody had quietly decided they wanted me to succeed. I kept my hand on it until the light turned green. Then we pulled into the DMV. And suddenly there was no more time to think, only time to survive. The DMV was exactly as depressing as it should have been. Gray sky, dull pavement, parents waiting beside cars, teenagers sitting behind steering wheels like they were about to be judged by heaven itself. Cars waited in the driving test queue on the left side of the lot. The DMV building sat on the right, plain and tired-looking, with the side entrance waiting like a door to punishment. Everything looked defeated before anything even happened. I walked beside Dad, trying to breathe normally. It did not work. Seatbelt, mirrors, Signal. Hands at 10 and 2. Don't die. Don't kill anyone. Don't hit a cone and accidentally become a local legend. Dad walked next to me completely calm, coffee still in his hand, unbothered, possibly born middle-aged. Inside, the waiting room was worse. Beige walls, gray chairs, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like they were also tired of being alive. Everybody sat around with blank faces. Nobody looked happy. Nobody looked hopeful. Everybody looked like the DMV had slowly removed their soul and filed it under missing paperwork. I sat stiffly in my chair, hands clasped, knees locked, trying to breathe normally, definitely not succeeding. Dad sat beside me like a statue. No fear, no stress, just existing. Then another teen came back through the door holding a paper. Their parent jumped up too loudly. They passed. Good for them, bad for me, because now passing felt possible, which somehow made failing feel even worse. A few minutes later, another student came in looking destroyed. Their parent patted their back quietly. My soul sank straight through the chair. Great. Balance restored. Then the side door clicked open. I looked up, and the instructor walked in. The second I saw her, I knew what kind of hell this was. She was short, chubby, middle-aged, red hair, large glasses, clipboard in one hand, sanitizer wipes and hand sanitizer in the other. She didn't walk into the room like a person. She entered like a final boss. She squeezed sanitizer into her palm. Squirt. Then rubbed her hands together with terrifying focus. Rub. Rub. Her eyes narrowed behind those giant glasses. Then she wiped the counter before touching it. Wipe. Wipe. Then she picked up a pen, stopped, looked at it like it had committed a crime, and wiped that too. Swipe. I slowly turned my head toward Dad. Dad slowly turned his head toward me. For one quiet second, we understood each other completely. Study the instructor, that was what he said. Well, I had studied, and unfortunately, what I had learned was that this woman would rather fight a bear than sit next to germs. My name got called. Lee. My body stood up before my spirit agreed. I rose from the chair with all the joy of a man walking toward public execution. Dad watched me calmly. Like this was fine. Like his son was not about to be sacrificed to the road test gods. The instructor held her clipboard close and walked toward the side entrance. I followed. Outside, the air felt colder. The line of test cars waited on the left side of the lot, engines idling, parents watching, students gripping steering wheels like they could crush fear with their hands. We walked toward my car. The instructor stopped beside it, then she walked around it once, slowly, suspiciously, like she expected the car to betray her. I stood there trying not to look guilty, which, according to Dad, was impossible for me. Then she reached the passenger side. She paused, looked at the door handle, pulled out a sanitizer wipe, and wiped the handle before getting in. Wipe, wipe, wipe. I saw it. She saw me see it. I looked away fast, because suddenly, Dad's advice wasn't just good advice. It was a strategy. She settled into the passenger seat with her clipboard, pen, sanitizer, and the energy of someone who did not want to touch anything in the car. I sat in the driver's seat, tense, hands on the wheel, heart beating way too loud. She clicked her pen. Whenever you're ready. For one weird second, my heart calmed down, because now I had a plan, a stupid plan, a terrible plan, but still, a plan. I adjusted the mirror once. Tick. Then I adjusted it again. Tick. Then I froze, because over-adjusting mirrors was exactly how a guilty person would behave. I put both hands on the wheel, breathed in, then gave one soft sniff. Not dramatic, not fake, just enough. Senef. The instructor's eyes flicked toward me instantly. Ping. Interesting. I pulled slowly out of the queue. The car rolled forward into the DMV course. The Arden Hills DMV wasn't just a building anymore, it was a battlefield. I drove past parked state vehicles and signs. Slow, careful, too careful. Then I coughed once into my elbow. Cough. The instructor's face changed. Not a lot, just enough. Her cheeks tightened, her mouth twisted, her whole body angled slightly away from me. GHK, this was it. This was where I had to commit. There are moments in life where a person has to decide what kind of man they are. Brave, honest, responsible, strong. I chose fake sick. I gave the instructor my best weak voice. Yeah, I think I'm just coming down with something. Her face stiffened. Something? The way she said it made it sound like I had confessed to bringing a plague into the car. I sniffed again, Sanef. Probably nothing. My throat was kind of weird this morning. That did it. Her glasses almost flashed. Her hand slowly reached toward the air vent. One careful finger touched it. Then she angled the vent away from herself. Creak. I nearly blacked out trying not to laugh. My face stayed miserable. My soul was doing cartwheels. Then I sneezed. Not planned, completely real. The instructor recoiled like the sneeze was a firearm. Jolt! Her whole body jerked back. Her eyes went huge behind her glasses. Her mouth opened like she wanted to scream, but remembered she still worked for the state. Then she reached into her bag. Slowly, carefully. She pulled out a tissue and extended it toward me at maximum arm's length, like she was feeding a raccoon. Do you need a tissue? I nodded weakly. Maybe. The tissue trembled between us. Tiny tremble. I took it carefully and blew my nose softly. The instructor leaned away. I turned the heat up one more click. Tick. The car was now warm enough to steam dumplings. I drove through the internal course like the most careful person alive. Slow roll, stop sign ahead, brake, full stop, left, right, left. I checked every direction like I was auditioning to become a crossing guard. The instructor marked the clipboard, scritch. Then she looked at me, then quickly looked away. I coughed twice into my elbow. Cough, cough. Then once more, cough. For character continuity, the instructor cracked her window open. Charque. Warm air still blasted through the car. Whew. The edge of the window fogged slightly. She sat stiff in the passenger seat. Sweaty, horrified, professional on the outside, spiritually leaving the vehicle on the inside, and I kept driving like an over-careful angel. I could feel her watching me. Road, clipboard, my face, road, clipboard, my face. I gave one tired little sniff, sniff. She looked away immediately. Perfect. We stopped at another sign near the course loop. Idle hum. Everything was quiet for half a second. Then I sneezed again. Shh. Sorry, I said. That almost ended her. Her face nearly collapsed in disgust. She pointed ahead with urgent authority. All right, take the next right. My heart jumped. Was that it? Was I failing so badly she wanted me gone? I took the next right. Blinker tick tick. Then she directed me back toward the DMV side of the campus. We looped south, back toward the test queue lot. The car rolled slowly into the left side testing area. Slow roll. I parked. My hands were damp on the steering wheel. The instructor unclicked her pen. Click. She wrote quickly on the clipboard. Scritch, scritch. My stomach tightened. This was the moment. Attempt number 5. All my failures. All Bond's jokes. All Dad's deadpan advice. All of it came down to whatever she was writing. Then, without really looking directly at me, she said, "You pass." I stared at her. What? She was already unbuckling at shocking speed. Click. You pass. Congratulations. That was really fast. Yes. I blinked. So I passed? She opened the passenger door. The outside air rushed in like freedom. She was halfway out of the car, clutching her sanitizer. Please crack the windows before the next person gets in. Then she left. Just like that. Gone. I sat there for a full 5 seconds. No sound, no thoughts. Just me. The steering wheel, the hot car, and the paper in my hands. I looked down. Pass. Big letters, clear, Real. Pass. I had passed. I passed because I made the car too hot and convinced an anti-germ DMV lady that my immune system was her enemy. I didn't know whether to feel proud or ashamed, so I chose proud, because passing is passing. And after 5 tries, I was not about to ask too many questions. I got out of the car still stunned. Dad was waiting near the DMV side entrance with his hands in his pockets. He saw me walking back so soon and immediately nodded like he had solved the mystery. Failed? I held the paper limply. I passed. Dad frowned. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. That fast? Yes. No. I held up the paper. Paper flap. Dad still looked suspicious. You're lying to save face. I am literally not. He took the paper from my hand, read it, looked at me, then looked at the paper again. His face softened just a little. Not big movie emotion, not dramatic music, just a small burst of pride he tried to hide. You passed. I stared at him. That's what I've been saying. Dad nodded once, then pointed toward the vehicle. Get in. I blinked. Where are we going? Local car lot. My soul almost left my body again, and this time, I was driving. The drive there felt unreal. I kept my hands on the wheel like the license could be revoked if I breathed wrong. Dad sat in the passenger seat now, in a good mood, which somehow made him more dangerous. You pass on the 5th try, still counts. Thanks. Ugly win, but win. Thanks. He nodded. You know what? We'll take ugly. Wow. I'm being supportive. We stopped at a light near a crosswalk. For 1 second, everything felt normal. Engine humming, street quiet, leaves moving across the road. Then I looked out my side window. A man was crossing the street. Normal enough, except draped over his shoulders was a ghost. Long, pale arms hooked around his neck, body sagging over him like dead weight. Its head hung low near his face, like a dead thing wearing him down one day at a time. Cold silence filled the car. I froze. The man kept walking like he felt nothing, like this was just another Saturday. Then the ghost turned its head slowly. Creak, straight toward me. Dad missed all of it. He just looked at the light and said, Go. My legs stopped belonging to me. The light had changed. I knew that. The road was clear. I knew that too. But my foot did nothing. Behind us, a car honked. Honk. Dad turned toward me. What are you doing? I stared forward. My leg. Dad blinked. What about it? It's not. Not what? I looked down like my own body had betrayed me. It's not doing what legs do. Dad stared. What does that mean? I slapped my thigh lightly. Slap. Hold on. For what? My leg. The car behind us honked again. Longer this time. Honk. I rubbed both thighs like I was rebooting broken machines. Come on, come on. Dad looked at me, then at the road, then back at me. You just got your license and forgot how to drive? I didn't forget. My leg forgot. That is still you. I slapped my thigh again. Slap. Move. Dad leaned back and sighed through his nose. You so happy you got your license that you forgot how to drive. Outside, the ghost-riding stranger turned the corner and disappeared. My leg finally listened to me a second later. The car rolled forward like nothing happened. Roll. I did not tell Dad any of this, mostly because there is no normal way to say, sorry, I saw a dead parasite on someone's shoulders and my knees resigned. So I kept driving, quiet, careful, and deeply aware that having a license did not make the world any less haunted. The local car lot was one of those places that always looked half hopeful and half cursed. Rows of used cars, little flags, office windows, and a sales guy inside smiling way too hard from behind the glass. Dad was immediately in his element. He walked with purpose, checked tires, thump, peeked underneath cars, rustle, opened and shut doors like he was testing them for moral weakness. Clunk. I followed behind him like a haunted shopping cart. The first car was a mini SUV, Dad stood beside it and nodded. Good in snow. That was Dad language, for this is practical and you should like it. I looked through the driver's side window. A ghost was sitting in the driver's seat, hands on the wheel, head turned toward me, mouth hanging open, frozen in the goofiest driver's pose I had ever seen. Cold silence. I stepped back immediately. No. Dad looked over. What? Nothing. Just, no. He frowned. Too expensive? I answered before my brain could stop me. Spiritually. Dad stared at me. 3 full seconds. I corrected myself fast. I mean visually. He made a face and moved on. Next was a clean American sedan. Not bad. Actually kind of nice. Good paint. Solid interior. For one dangerous second, I felt hope. Maybe this one was normal. Maybe the SUV was just a one-time thing. Maybe I was overreacting. I leaned down and checked the back seat. A ghost woman sat there staring at me like she had been waiting all day. Stare. I jerked upright so fast I hit my head on the door frame. Bonk. Pain shot through my skull. Dad looked over. You all right? I rubbed my head and forced my face to act normal. Yeah. Dad narrowed his eyes. You keep doing that. It's a dynamic process. He stared at me. I circled away from the sedan like it had personally insulted me. At that point, I had learned something important. Buying a used car is stressful. Buying a used car when you can see dead people is worse, because suddenly, mileage does not feel like the biggest problem. Then we got to it. An old boxy 1991 Accord. Plain, clean, boring enough to make my soul sigh. Dad crouched and checked the lower body line. No rust. He opened the hood. Clack. Looked around, checked the engine, nodded. Clean. I looked at the car. Old paint, square body. Nothing flashy, nothing cool, nothing Bond would ever dramatically approve of. Then I opened the driver's door and looked inside. Driver's seat, empty. Passenger seat, empty. Back seat, empty. Just seats, carpet, a steering wheel, a normal old interior, hilariously normal. I checked again. Nothing. No ghost. No weird shadow. No dead woman making eye contact from upholstery. Just an old clean Accord. I turned to Dad with complete certainty. This one. Dad blinked. Really? I glanced back at the other cars. Every single one of them now felt suspicious, like any window could have a face behind it. This one. Dad frowned. You don't even like Hondas that old. I like surviving. What? I mean, it's clean. Dad gave me that parent look, the one that says your logic is weird, your taste is bad, but somehow this answer is acceptable. He walked around it one more time, checked the trunk, checked the tires, looked underneath, then nodded. Okay. The sales guy came over with his dealership smile. Too wide, too friendly. The kind of smile that made you feel like monthly payments had teeth. Dad handled most of the talking. I stood behind him trying to look normal, trying to look like a regular teenager buying his first car, not a guy secretly filtering inventory by paranormal infestation. Paperwork happened. Forms slid across the desk. Names got signed. Scritch. Scritch. Then the keys slid forward. Clink. Just like that, it became real. Dad picked up the key. We walked outside. The old Accord sat there waiting. Plain, boxy, quiet. Dad tossed me the key. Toss. You happy? I caught it. Catch. I held the key in my hand. For a second, I just stared at it. It looked unreal, small, metal, ordinary. But it was mine. I looked at the Accord sitting in the lot. Not a cool car, not the car from my dreams, not anything that would make people turn their heads. But mine. Dad watched me for a second. You happy? I looked at the old boxy car, the plain paint, the square body, the miracle of an empty interior. Yeah. And I meant it. Driving my own car home should have felt amazing, and it did. At first. Dad followed behind me in his truck while I drove the Accord like it was made of glass and held together by my nerves, both hands on the wheel, back straight, eyes forward. Every little thing felt huge. The steering wheel, the road, the sound of the engine, my hands slowly relaxed around the wheel. For once, nothing weird was happening. No ghosts, no cursed letters, no Bon yelling from the back of the bus. Just me, driving. The fact that this was mine now. Mine. I parked in front of the house and turned off the engine. Engine off. For a second, I just sat there smiling like an idiot. A real smile, too. Not nervous, not fake, just happy. Then something moved in the back. Thump. My smile vanished instantly. I turned around. Nothing. The back seat was empty. I stared at it. Quiet. Still. Normal. Too normal. I told myself it was probably nothing. Old car sounds. Settling metal. Something in the trunk. A normal explanation. Then I heard it again. Skrr rape. A dragging little sound from behind me. My stomach went cold. Slowly, I turned back toward the front. I did not want to look, which meant I absolutely had to. I lifted my eyes toward the rearview mirror. Slow breath. And there it was. A ghost, sitting upright in the back seat, directly behind me, staring at me through the mirror like it had been waiting the whole time for me to notice. Cold silence filled the car. My eye widened in the reflection. For a second, neither of us moved. Me in the driver's seat, the ghost behind me, the mirror catching both of our faces, and the only thought in my head was, of course, my first car was haunted. End episode 4.